Hello all, welcome to KLART Technologies. And as part of our MuleSoft advanced course, we are discussing about non-functional requirements. So in previous video, we have seen what are the different non-functional requirements and how we can achieve in MuleSoft by using different tools and features. The overview we have seen in our previous video. Right. So from this video onwards, we will be trying to implement all the non-functional requirements in Cloud Hub. And firstly, we will be focusing about the policies. Okay, we have different policies of different categories, quality and security and all. So we will be cover most of the policies, and we will be seeing everything in demo. Okay, from this video onwards, there will be no theory. Everything will be hands-on. So stay tuned. Let's start with client ID enforcement policy, which we have already aware of it, but let's start with that, and then we will be discussing about all these policies one by one. Okay, so as you are in this advanced course, I assume that you know how to create an API and how to implement this auto discovery and how to link this auto discovery to API and implementation and all. I hope you are all aware of it. So that is why I'm not going to cover those basic things in this video. So for this, I have created a RAML, which is a very simple RAML to demonstrate these policies and all, because we are not going to focus on the implementation and the RAML part in this particular topic. So that's why I have taken very simple RAML. I will show that. See, this is a two resources which we have. Hello all is one resource and books is another resource. Both are get resources only. And this hello all is a simple hard-coded response which we have given here. Sorry, this one, hello response. This will just send you a response like hello all, welcome to advanced course, something like that. So this particular resource we will be used for simple policies, and for the caching policies and some of advanced policies we will use this for another resource /books. Okay, so for now I have added the sample response only here. Okay, you no need to bother about the response and all. So here we need to focus on how to implement the policy and how to utilize that policy, what is the use of that policy, and how to test that policy. These points you need to focus on. Okay, so I have created this RAML. I have published it in my Exchange, and I have created an API on top of it with just basic endpoint only. I will cover the proxy part in upcoming videos. So just assume that this is a basic endpoint only, and I have created this in dev environment, and it will generate an instance ID, and then I have done some implementation. To be frank, actually I didn't do any implementation. I just imported that RAML, and I have used the same default API kit generated flows itself. So I have not changed anything in this implementation for now. As I said, like, we don't need to focus on implementation for this particular topic. Right, so yeah, I didn't change anything. These are all API kit generated flows only. I have added auto discovery with this particular instance ID, which we have already aware of it. And I have deployed this application as an implementation. So it is already available in runtime manager in dev environment. Okay, and I'm using Postman to test this application. So here /books resource only I'm testing it for now. See, it is a 200 okay, and it is working fine as expected. So now let's start it. Let's start with applying policies one by one. So to apply any API policies, you need to go to API manager, and then see here automated policies is one section which is a common one, and custom policies is also there. We will be covering this custom policies later in this particular topic. And automated policies, whenever you apply any policy here, it will be applicable by default to all the APIs in this particular environment. This is not API specific. So whenever you have added any policy here, what it meant, like, it will apply this policy to all the APIs which are created in this particular environment specific, not API specific. Okay, so to apply any policy to specific API, you need to go to that API, and inside that you need to apply the policy. So let's click on this policy API, and here if you can see, these are the policy section here. Here you can apply all the policies, and you can apply to all the resources in this particular API. And SLA tiers is also the another topic which we need to cover in this particular policies section while we are discussing with rate limiting policy with SLA. Okay, before that we will see what are the different policies available first. Okay, so instead of going into the documentation and all, you can just check here itself. Here itself it will categorize the policies in different sections. It will show you how many policies are available, pre-built policies. If you have any other requirements apart from this available pre-built policy, then you need to go with custom policies. That is very rare situation. It won't be some that much regular thing. We most of the things we will be using the pre-developed policies given by MuleSoft. If in case you have a specific requirement which is not suitable on with the existing policies, then you can go with custom policies. Okay, so now let's see the policies. So here in the API levels policies, you can just click on add policy. See here all categories, it has 19 policies. Okay, so quality of service category 4 policies. You can just click this, it will show you those policies related to that particular category. See in the quality of service we have 1 2 3 4 policies: rate limiting SLA, spike control and HTTP caching. We will be discussing all these 4 one by one. Okay, and security category, it has 10 policies. OAuth we have already covered and it is available in our channel. If you missed it, you can just go through that videos. I'll provide the links in the description. So this policy we have already discussed separately. You can go through that, and we will be discussing about XML threat, Json threat, basic authentication, IP block listing, allow listing. These policies we will cover. And apart from this, we have this basic authentication, LDAP, JWT validation, tokenization and detokenization. And this tokenization, detokenizations which is not available in our trial account, because we are using this 30 days trial account of Cloud Hub, right? So we cannot use this. It is a licensed one. If you have licensed version of Cloud Hub, whenever you working in a project, then you will be use these policies, and I will give you theoretical explanation for these two policies. I cannot demonstrate that these two because it is a trial account. Okay, so we will be discussing most of the policies of this particular category as well. I will explain one by one. Don't worry for now. And transformation, it is a header removal, header injection kind of two policies under this category. And troubleshooting, you will have message logging policy, and compliance you have client ID enforcement as well as cross origin resource sharing. We will be covering these two also in this particular course. Right, so let's start with client ID enforcement policy. As I said, it is a compliance categorized policy. So let's see what is the use of it. So without that policy, if anyone have this URL, they can access your API and they can get the data and they can misuse it if you didn't provide any policy. So see, if you have this URL, anyone can click it via Postman or via HTTP browser or a Chrome browser or anything. It is just a HTTP GET request, right? So anyone can use it. So it is not a good practice. It is not a in terms of security also, it is not a good practice. So we have to secure our API. To do that, we have one compliance policy. As we have seen, it is a client ID enforcement policy. What it will do, it will generate a client ID and client secret for you, which is just like you can correlate this with username and password just for your Gmail account or something like that. So it's kind of credentials in simple way. Okay, so it will generate a client ID and client secret. Once you pass those client ID and client secret under the header section of this particular request, then only it will allow you to use this API. When you hit this endpoint without those client ID and secret, it won't allow you. It will show you unauthorized error. Once you apply the policy, it will be easy for you to understand. So let's see how to apply and how to use it. Okay, so to do that, I'm just recapping this. Just you need to click on your API, go to policies and click on add policy, go to compliance section, select this client ID enforcement. So now we are going to apply this policy. So click next. Now it will show you from where we need to pass this client ID and secret. In Mule message structure, we have different sections. If you are already aware of it, right? This is an advanced course, so you are already aware of the basic things, right? Query parameters, URI parameters, headers, or attachments, or these are the different sections in Mule message, right? So this client ID, client secret, it is expecting from header section. You can change it via like query parameters or URI parameters also, but best practice and best practices as per the MuleSoft also, you need to send these client ID secret in header section only, so you don't need to change these things. Okay, you just click on the client ID enforcement policy, click next. It will show you this client ID expression, client secret expression. You can just leave it as it is. And please do remember that this is the key: client ID, client underscore ID, and client underscore secret. These two are the headers you need to pass with the proper values. Okay. Alright, so and here you have another option also, like advanced section. Here it will show you two options. You can apply configuration to all API methods and resources, or you can apply this configuration to specific API and resources. What the difference is, like, whenever this is by default option, it will select by default. So apply configuration to all API and resources means, if in your YAML, in your API, if you have 4 resources and 2 are get methods and 2 are post methods, if you select this option, it will apply this configuration, like it will apply this policy to all of the 4 resources. So wherever if you want to access any of those resource of any of the method, you need to compulsory you need to pass this client ID and secret in the headers. Until unless it won't allow you to access that. But this one, apply configuration to specific API method and resources, it means like you can select like only for post methods if you want to apply this policy, or only for the get methods you need to apply this policy, or you can mention the space, I mean the path also by using the expression. Okay, you can use this option. But in generic, in real-time projects, we will be applying this all policies to all resources and all methods. So you don't need to bother about this option. You can just keep it in mind in terms of interview. You will get this kind of questions. So just remember this point. That's it. You don't need to bother about these things. You can accept the default. You can just click on apply. So once you apply, it will show you the policy was created successfully, and this policy is applied to your API. And to affect this policy, it will take at least 1 minute or below 1 minute it will take to apply this policy. So let's wait for half minute or 1 minute. Let's see. Then it will see, now it is a success response, right? Once you click send, if the policy is applied, see it will throw you unauthorized error. It means that the policy is applied successfully to this particular resource. Earlier we didn't receive this error. So now it is a 401 unauthorized error. So if you, in this case, if someone have this URL also, they cannot use this URL, they cannot access this API, they cannot get the data as a response. It will throw you unauthorized, because we have applied client ID enforcement policy. Until unless you send that client ID and client secret in this header section with your valid values, proper values, it won't allow you to access. So we have seen that it is a client underscore ID and client underscore secret. Right? Now what I can do, I will just provide these headers names correctly, and I will give some random values. Let's see how it will behave. These are all the random values. These are all the valid values. See, it throws invalid client. Earlier it throws unauthorized. Authentication denied. If you send client ID and client secret with some dummy values, again it won't allow you to access. You need to provide the correct values. It will throw invalid client if you give some dummy values or random values. So now, how to get these actual client ID and client secret values? To do that, you need to navigate to the Exchange. Let's wait this to be. Yeah. Once you are in Exchange, you need to click on your API, REST API, and then here you will see one option called request access. So you need to click on that. You need to select the API instance. In our case, we have only one instance in dev environment, but in real-time projects, you have multiple environments and multiple instances. So you need to make sure which instance you are selecting here. So in our case, we are selecting dev instance only. So application, this application means the client application. Just remember this name. It is a client application. and sometimes it is called as a contract also, API contract. Okay, by using this client application only you will get access to that particular API. So there are no existing applications. I am going to create a new application. So click on new application, just to provide the name, that's it. You don't need to fill any other details. Dev access demo I have given. So let's click on create. And here you will see SLA tires. But as of now we haven't created this SLA tire. So you can ignore this. I will explain this option later once we discuss with rate limiting SLA policy. Right, so you have selected the instance ID and you need to create a client applications. Once you click on this request access, it will show you the actual client ID and client secret. You can copy this somewhere in the notepad, because once you lose this screen you will not able to get this values. Okay, so client secret. Right, so now let's pass this valid values via postman header. Let's see how it will behave. Okay, so this is the client ID and this is the client secret. Now let's click send. See, now you got 200 okay success response and you got the data also back. So now our API is little secure, not completely secured. It is a little secured because we have applied only client-side enforcement compliance policy. We have not make our API more secured by using OAuth 2 or HTTPS endpoint, something like that. So I will show you one by one. Okay, so now we have successfully applied client-side enforcement policy and we have passed the valid values in the headers. So now you can able to access this API and you will get the successful response and get the data back. Right, so I hope you understand this client-side enforcement policy, how to apply this. So we will discuss about next policies one by one. So I'm just closing this. So once you apply this policy now, to remove this, like now I have added this policy and I shown you, right? Let's implement all the policies one by one. Don't mess up with all the policies at a time, to understand it, to practice it. Okay, so what I will do in the policies, I will remove this policy for now, because we have already seen how to apply it, how to test it, right? So I'll just remove it. Then I will add another policy and let's test it. So yeah, and one more thing. So whenever you apply any policy, you need to add some API specification snippet into the RAML. So here if you can see RAML 1.0, this is the traits. You need to add these headers, this traits like client ID and client secret headers into your RAML. By default, we will not add it while creating the RAML. So whenever you apply any specific policy, it will show you the snippet also for you. You can just make a reference of it. You can add this kind of snippet into your RAML header section. I mean traits section. Okay, then it will be easy for you to understand the RAML also. Even though if you didn't add it, it will work. But this is a best practice to keep your RAML up to date. Okay. Right, so I'm removing this policy. Right, it got removed. Okay, let's see another policy. Hello. So in this video, we will be covering about another policy which is called course policy in compliance section. So while applying this policy, before apply this policy, you need to understand what is course and the basic details. But I'll just wanted to show you where it is available. Okay, so we have seen client-side enforcement in previous video. Now we will be seeing about cross-origin resource sharing policy, which is in short form it is course policy. So what this policy will do, why we need of this policy means, if anyone if any other client which will invoke your API by using any JavaScript or any other thing, it will restrict by default. Okay, see, the cross-origin resource sharing policy enables you to access resources in another domain using a web application. So by default, what will happen, right? I'll show you something so that you will get little more understanding. See, so if you can see http:/test.com/123, this is one domain. So anything in .com which is in one domain. Okay, so http test.com/123, this is one domain. And https test.com123 is another domain. These both are not same. This is unsecured domain, this is secured domain. Even though the website and the path everything is same, it is secured one, it is unsecured one. So these two will consider as two different domains. Just like that, see this, the entire endpoint itself is same, which is http and testing123.com, testing123.com. But here the port is a different one. 2343 is the port here, and here default port something 80 or something will be there. So even in this case, these both are also treated as two different domains. Okay, and also something like let me show you. Something like http://testing123.org. So this is another domain. Okay. See, it is also testing123, but testing123.com is one domain, testing123.org is another domain. These both are different. So you need to understand what is domain first. So now you got to know everything is not same. It has its own differences. So all these are different domains. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 different domains we are seeing here in the same page. So what a browser will do, because the CORS policy is for web application. See, this CORS policy enables you to access the resources in another domain using a web application. So if someone wants to access, like for example, if testing123.com want to access a resource in test.com, it won't allow this access by default. Okay, if some web browser, some Chrome or some web browser want to access any other URL, it won't allow by default, because all the browsers will follow SOP policy, same origin policy it will follow. So whenever the request will come from the same domain, then only it will access it. It will allow the access. So by default, all the browsers, all the web applications will allow SOP, means same origin policy. It will apply this one, same one, which means if any request is coming from the same domain, then only it will access the resources. For example, if you are using internet banking. Okay, if you are using sbi.com or hdfc.com and you logged in with your credentials, and by default it will allow some cookie time, because it means like you logged in one time and you are doing some transactions or some other things in your website, in your internet banking. Then if after some time, after 1 or 2 minutes, if the session is active, then you no need to log in again. You can do another transaction without logging again. You can do transaction and you can do any other work. You no need to re-log in again until unless you logged out manually. So it will allow the requests in the same internet banking, and it means like same domain, same website. But what will happen? Some attacker is trying to access that. Say for example, if this some attack.com or some other.com, another website want to access the information from your internetbank.com, hdfcbank.com, what will happen? Because the hdfcbank.com is one domain, and the another attacker.com or some other.com is some other domain, right? Or hacker.com, something, for example. So that is different domain, this is different domain. If by default, if that hacker.com will have the access of your hdfcbank.com, what will happen? They will misuse it, they will block your account, they will hack your account, they will misuse your amount, and they will do the transactions and all, right? So that is the reason all the browsers will have by default it will apply the SOP policy, same origin policy. Means whenever for example, if you are going to do another transaction with the same bank.com, it will allow. If you want to do some other transaction with some other website or some other domain, it won't allow. You got the point, right? If any request is coming from the same domain, it will allow by default, otherwise it won't allow. So by default, all the browsers will have SOP, same origin policy. In our case, what is CORS means? So in some situations, some kind of JavaScript programs or some other programs want to access your API. So I have written a HTML code. This actually I have taken from Google only. So this is a HTML page, and inside this it is having a JavaScript. One second. Yeah, inside this it has a JavaScript. Okay, in this JavaScript, what is doing? Like it is accessing my Cloud Hub URL, which is the implementation URL which I have added here. Because this course policy, you cannot test it via Postman. That is the first thing. Because the course policy will not make any difference while you are testing it from Postman or direct browser. So the course policy is a thing which will allow to access this particular URL from another domain. So to test that, you need to use some kind of JavaScript to demonstrate this. So that is the thing. So this is the URL. This is my implementation URL. So someone like from some other JavaScript or some other HTML page want to access this URL of mine, my Cloud Hub URL or my REST API URL. It is going to access now. So in such case, how it will behave without course policy or with course policy, how it will behave, that we are going to see now. So this is the JavaScript and HTML. You don't need to bother about this code. The thing you need to remember here is this particular JavaScript want to access my URL, my Cloud Hub URL. I mean to say my REST API, which I have deployed in my Anybind platform. So this is my domain. CloudHub.io is my domain, and this particular HTML is from another domain. It want to access my REST API. So that is the thing. So to test that, as of now, I haven't added any policy. So we have deleted that policy, client ID enforcement, right? So for now, there is no policy on top of this API. So without this policy, if you didn't add this cross-origin, resource sharing CORS policy, it won't allow that JavaScript to access your API. So if you have a requirement, if you have a project requirement to allow access to your API from another domain, then you need to apply this policy. That is simple. Okay, so now there is no policy. Now this is my HTML code. I want to access this HTML code via my Chrome browser. So I'm just right click on it, open it with Chrome. It will run my HTML page. Okay, once I click on this button, it won't allow me to access my Cloud Hub URL, because this is a different domain. You can say this is a local file, but in case if you are running this JavaScript somewhere, it will take it as a different domain. It won't allow you to access it. So if you have a requirement to provide access to your REST API to another domain, you need to apply this course policy. Okay, so now I'll just click on fetching data. See, it shows error fetching data. Okay, so it is not going to be successful. So what is the issue? You can see the console, Chrome console. To do that, you can just click like Control Shift J. It will open the console. So here it shows the error like access to XML HTTP request at this demo application CloudHub.io books from origin is null and has been blocked by course policy. See, we haven't applied that policy. Okay, by default your browser will not allow. It will apply only SOP, same origin policy. It won't apply course policy. So that is why it's thrown an error like course policy. This is also called course error. See, what is error? No access control allow origin header is present in the requested resource. So this header we are not going to give it manually. So once we apply this policy in our API, it will automatically have this header. Okay, so this is the error you will get without course policy. It means your JavaScript will not able to access your Cloud Hub URL due to this issue. So now how to resolve this means you need to apply that course policy in compliance section. So by adding the policy in the compliance course course region sharing policy, here also you can read it, right? So I have opened it somewhere. Yeah, enable you to access resources in the domain. For example, browser rely on standard for allowing cross region requests. Course policy complies with course W3 recommendation. See, by default, this policy is available as a public resource. You can restrict the use of this policy by deselecting the public resource checkbox. To restrict the use of this policy, deselect the public checkbox and then you can perform additional course configuration if required. This is related to this policy. So, if you can just click on next. What that meant by default is enabled for public resource. That is what they mentioned here. See, the policy is available as a public resource by default. You can restrict it with your own configuration. So for now I will access this, I will accept the default, I will make it public resource. But if you want to still you want to restrict as per your project requirement, then you can uncheck that. Then here you can add the remaining, like what are the specific origins if you want to allow. When we select this public resource by default, everyone can access now my API. Everyone means from another domain. Any other domain can access it. But if you want to make sure or restrict it to specific domains, you can mention the list of domains here by using comma separated. You can mention all the domains which you want to allow by giving comma separated. Okay. So if you want, you can mention the list of domains which you want to allow it. Okay. So for now I have accepted the defaults and I'll click on apply policy. So now you can see this, and in the postman you won't see any difference. It will allow you to 200 OK, and we don't need to send any headers or something which we have seen in client-side enforcement policy, because it is the same domain. By using postman you are directly hitting this URL, not from the another domain, so it won't throw you any error. But now by using that HTML code, inside that the JavaScript is trying to access our API. Right now, let's see. Let's refresh this page, and let's click on this button. Now you will not get any error here like earlier, and in console also there will be no errors or no messages, which means it is accessing successfully. So that is the use of this course policy. I hope you understand it, and you got the point, like how to apply this course policy in MuleSoft and what is the use of it. So yeah, that's it for this video. If you want, we will see the another category policies also later one by one. So we have covered these compliance related policies. Let me just open it. Yeah. So in the policies we have seen in the compliance category only 2 policies are there. We have discussed it. Remaining policies also we will discuss later. Thank you. Hello. So this is another video as part of our non-functional requirements video, and where we are discussing all the policies one by one. So far we have seen couple of policies. Now we will explore other policies as well. So today in this video we will be discussing about rate limiting policies. In rate limiting policies, we have 2 different types. One is SLA based rate limiting and one is normal rate limiting. We will see the difference between the rate limiting with SLA and without SLA also in this video. So we will discuss these 2 first, then we will discuss about caching and spike control later. Okay, so coming to rate limiting policy. So you will have a couple of kind of requirements, right, to control the traffic. Okay, that is also one of the non-functional requirements. So in particular, this is basically to avoid some attacks. This is to avoid some attacks like DDoS attacks or some other attacks are there over the network. So what that will do now, though they will continuously send multiple millions or thousands of requests continuously to an API. So obviously, if API cannot handle those many number of APIs, it will fail, it will down, so that they will hack the API. So that is a kind of DDoS attack. So like this, few attacks are also there over the net. So to avoid that, we have a policy here which is rate limiting policy. What this policy will do, it will specify maximum number of requests it will handle in the particular time period. For example, within 1 minute or within 2 minutes, 1000 requests it will handle, or 100 requests it will handle. Like that we can configure this policy. So even any attackers or any DDoS attacks or any other thing it is happening, it won't allow multiple requests at a time in that particular time limit, whichever we have configured. So it will actually avoid those kind of attacks in that way. Okay, let's see how to implement this and how we can test this, so that you will get clear understanding about the rate limiting policy. And this rate limiting policy is common for any number of clients, like whoever, regardless of a another API or regardless of any client who are going to invoke our API, it is a common one. Like if anyone can invoke this API within the time limit, within the number of requests only, it will handle. So SLA is little different, SLA based. So we will explore that later. So let's you already know how to apply policy, right? So I just click on add policy. I'm now adding this limiting policy. So here, even in here also, you can have one more option called attributes, sorry, identifier. By using this identifier also, you can control this number of requests and rate limiting policy. So first we will see without identifier, then we will see with identifier also. Okay, see here in this rate limiting policy. So here it is identifier is optional one, but we will discuss this also once we discuss the remaining things first. So see here we have a column like number of requests, time period, time unit. So how many number of requests you want to accept for this API in the particular time period, that we can mention. See here units, it says 1 day, 1 hour, like that. So per 1 day it will accept only 10,000 requests or 1 lakh requests. You can configure in this way. Sorry, this is time period 1 day, and number of requests you need to mention here 10,000 requests in 1 day, or in 1 hour it should handle 10,000 requests. If we send more than 10,000 requests, it will reject. Like that you can configure. So in this way you can configure this policy and apply to your API. It will it will avoid the attacks. Okay, unwanted attacks also it will avoid. So for our testing purpose, if we can wait for 1 hour and 10,000 requests, it will take much time, right? So for our testing purpose, to demonstrate you, I'll show you 3 number of requests I want to allow within 1 minute. So let's test this. It is a similar way to configure even in your real-time projects also, based on the number of requests, maybe 10,000 requests per 1 hour or 10,000 requests per 1 day, something like that, which we have seen now. You can configure in the same way, but to demonstrate this, because it won't take much time, within 1 minute it will accept only 3 requests. Within 1 minute, if you can send 4th request, it should reject. It will allow next number of 3 requests once the minute is completed, like that. Okay, so within 1 minute, if you trigger your API, within 3 times it is allowing it will give you the response. If you hit that API 4th time, it will reject it. So we will see that. Okay, right. So you can ignore remaining thing. You can click on apply, and once you apply any policy, it will take some time to apply this to your API. Then only you will able to test this particular policy. How you can know if your API policy is applied or not? So you can go to your runtime manager, because we don't know when to trigger our API, if the policy is applied or not, we don't know, right? So once you apply any policy, what will happen in this runtime manager, in runtime manager logs, see it will show you policy course is applied. This is the previous one. Now let's wait. Let's wait for 1 or 2 minutes. If this policy is applied, now we have applied rate limiting policy right just now. So it will show you in the logs. It will take 1 to 2 minutes to show this in logs. Let's wait. It will show you which policy you applied, and if that policy is applied or not, it will show you. Then you can test it. So instead of waiting or assuming something, see, I think it got applied now. Right. See, applied policy rate limiting Mule definition version. This is applied in this application, demo application hello world, which is our application name. So it will show you like this. You can just wait and check here in the logs. Once the policy is applied, it will show you the information here. See, applied policy rate limiting policy. Now you can test your API. So as per the policy which we have configured, I think now we no need to use client ID, client secret, because we removed that policy for now. But whenever you didn't check this checkbox, now it won't apply. You don't need to remove, or you want to, you can delete it, no problem. It won't apply basically unless you check this checkbox. Okay, right. So now it is a 1339 here. So within 1 minute, it should accept only 3 requests, right? So I'm triggering it for the first time. 1, 2, 3. So 3 times I have triggered. 4th time I'm triggering now. See, whenever I clicked on fourth time, it shows quota has been exceeded and 429 too many requests have been added. Okay, so now it won't accept any requests until unless it should complete the 1 minute. So now it is 1340, but we have started this triggering request near to 1340. So let's wait for 1341. Then we will trigger. Then it will give you that response for the next 3 times. And even if you trigger for the fourth time, then it will reject it by saying this error 429 too many requests, and error message it will show you quota has been exceeded. Now before it completed that 1 minute, let's discuss about the identifier part. Okay, so here in this policy, while applying this policy, we have seen one optional field called identifier, right? So let me just go to click and edit configuration. It won't apply until unless you click on apply manually. So what is the identifier? So without any identifier or without any header, this policy is applied for all the requests. So you cannot trigger fourth time, not at all, until unless it completed the 1 minute. Okay, but what is the use of identifier? Now you can differentiate different clients or different API requests or different IPs like that. See here, attributes query params identifier. You can send this particular identifier in a query parameter or header or anything. Okay, so how you can configure this? Now you can just I will give this in headers. Attributes.headers. Identifier also I will give some other name like x rate limit header. Just you can give any name. So if this header we need to pass while triggering or testing your API. Okay, set of limits defined in the policy will be enforced independently. So if you send rate limited header this value A, for that A it will give you 3 times, and fourth time it will reject within 1 minute. But within 1 minute, if you can send another value for this header, it will allow another 3 times. So that is what. Let's see the difference. Okay, now it is 1342. Without that identifier, I am triggering again. So it will allow me for the next 3 times, and for the fourth time it shows this error. Okay, now let's apply that identifier and let's see how it will work. So let me copy this value you need to pass in headers. Okay, so I have given attributes dot headers dot this one Mule expression here. So whenever you send values for this header, it will differentiate the request and it will allow the things right in that way. So I'm just click on save, and let's go to our runtime manager and wait if this policy is applied or not. So 133849 logs are there. Because this is the same rate limiting policy, you will get confused. No? So just check the time. It's 1338, the earlier rate limiting policy. Now this identifier change, if it is applied, it will show you the another time, right? So yeah. Let's wait until this policy changes has been applied. See now 1343 applied policy rate limiting. Okay, in this demo application. So now the changes has been applied. Now let's go back to our Postman. Yeah, now let's go to our Postman. I am giving like this same header which we have defined in this policy, in our policy, in the identifier. Now let me just trigger it with the name, with the value Lakshmi, and please make sure you need to select this. Unless you select this checkbox, it won't allow as a header. Okay, so let's click this 1353 1 2 3, and fourth time it shows error. And when I change this for the same value, it won't allow until unless the condition is satisfied. But with another identifier, it will allow for the next 3 times. So now I changed the value. Now see, it is allowing 1, 2, 3, fourth time it is not allowing. Now when I change another one, it will allow for the next 3 times. When I test with the first one, first value which I have given Lakshmi, it is allowing now. Maybe the 1 minute has been completed. Okay. Now with the another one, it is still not completed 1 minute for the second value, so it is not allowing. So like this. So in this way you can apply rate limit policy without SLA, but you can give the identifiers like this, and for each and every identifier you can independently you can run this many number of requests. This is also you can do in rate limiting policy. So that's it for this rate limiting policy. Let's see another policy now. Hello all. As part of our advanced course and non-functional requirements, we are discussing about multiple policies, how we are going to apply it to an API. So far we have discussed about couple of policies, and in this video we will be discussing about rate limiting with SLA. In previous video we have seen rate limiting policy without SLA and how we can apply and how the identifier will work there. So now let's discuss about the rate limiting policy with SLA. So to discuss this, you need to create SLA tiers first. Okay. So let's go to SLA tiers, and I'm going to create different tiers. See here in number of requests, you can configure here itself directly. Okay. So what is the use of rate limiting policy with SLA means it will differentiate different clients. So for client ID enforcement policy, we will be getting client ID and client secret, right? So with the same client ID, client secret, the same client will access our API. So like that in SLA based rate limiting policy also, it will be creating a unique client ID, client secret for each tier. Okay, and you can apply this particular tier to a client. So if particular same client is having any SLA tier mapped to it, only that particular number of requests only it will allow it to access that API. Okay, while doing it practically you will understand little better. So I'm creating gold tier. Okay, so the approval is automatic. For this I will give, and for another one I will select manual. I will show you the difference. Okay, so number of requests it should allow 4 in 1 minute, maybe 5. I can change it to 5. 5 requests it should allow for 1 minute. So I'm adding this tier, and another one is platinum tier. I can add, and for this I'll make it approval is manual. I'll show you what is this approval. Okay, so whenever a client application is created with this tier, it will send you a notification or mail to the Cloud Hub account owner. Now we need to approve that, then only the client will access our application. That is manual. Automatic means it will automatically applied by the Cloud Hub. Okay, so for this platinum tier I'll configure it like 10 requests per 1 minute it should allow. So based on our requirement or based on the environment, sorry, not 1 hour, 1 minute, based on the environment which we are going to work, and based on the different number of licenses maybe. See, even in our Cloud Hub also it is a trial account for us, but in real time it is a different licenses, platinum partner, gold partner, something like that it has, right? So just like that we can differentiate different clients with these tiers. Okay. So platinum tier will allow 10 requests for 1 minute, and gold tier will allow 5 requests only for 1 minute. So this is how we have created the tiers. Now let's go back to our policy section. Okay, now let's add rate limit policy. So here it won't give you any configuration. So that is why we have configured those number of requests and all in SLA tiers itself. So rate limiting SLA based, you need to select and click next. See here it will give you only client ID, client secret. Once you once you apply this SLA tier while creating client application, it will generate client ID secret for you. Those client ID secret you need to pass in headers, just like the client ID enforcement, but it will restrict to that particular tiers. Based on the tiers, it will allow the number of requests. In the individual client ID enforcement policy, it will just authenticate that client, but this rate limiting with SLA policy, it will authenticate the client by using client ID, client secret, and it will apply the rate limiting as well to control the number of requests to avoid such kind of attacks which we have discussed earlier. Okay, so let's click on apply. We need to pass client ID secret in the headers. Okay, so let's click on apply. So the policy is applied, and if it is applied or not, you can check here in the runtime manager. And you can see policy is unapplied from this earlier because I removed the rate limiting policy normal without SLA based rate limiting policy which I have applied earlier in the previous video. I just removed it to demonstrate this SLA. So it shows unapplied also. So you can check these messages in the runtime manager whenever you apply any policy, if it is applied or not. Whenever you remove any policy, if it is unapplied or not, you can check it here. So for now, this rate limiting SLA is not applied. But yeah, now just now it is applied. See, applied policy rate limiting SLA based. So this policy is now applied. Now how you can test this policy? Okay, to do that, what we can do now, you need to just first go to Exchange and create a client application. While creating a client application, it will ask you the SLA tiers. There you can select the tiers. Okay, so request access. The instance is dev instance. I have created this application while demonstrating this client ID enforcement, right? But now let me create a new application. Okay, so dev SLA application. You don't have to fill anything here, but here you need to select the SLA tiers. Earlier it is not showing us, now it is showing us. So whenever you select gold tier, it will allow 5 requests only in 1 minute for this particular client ID and client secret. Whenever you select a platinum tier, it will allow 10 requests per minute for this particular client ID and secret. So we'll see both together. So let's select the gold tier. See, it will show you how it will work. I mean, how many requests it will allow you. So it allow 5 requests in 1 minute. Okay, so request access. Once you click request access, it will show you client ID and secret. Na? You need to send this in headers. And if you remember, this is an automatic approval we have selected for gold tier. So your request has been received and approved. But for the platinum tier, we have selected manual approval. That is also you need to observe. So client secret also I have copied. I have pasted here, and I need to select this client ID secret now. Now I need to ignore this other one. So for this particular client ID and secret, it will allow 5 requests per minute. Okay. So let's test this first, then we will create another client application with platinum tier and let's see the difference. Okay, so to test this, we need to pass this client ID and client secret in headers. Let's it is a 1403 local time. 1 2 3 4 5 6. Yeah, 6th time we should throw this error because we have configured 5 requests within 1 minute. So 6th time it is throwing error. Within next in this same minute it won't allow you. If you pass after 1 minute, it will allow another 5 requests like that. So this is for gold tier. It is automatic approval. Now let's create another client application. Instance is again dev instance only because we have this API in dev only for now in our case. But you need to select the instance accordingly as per your project requirement. Okay, so it is this through. Let me create a new application. So now dev SLA platinum client. Okay, this time I will select platinum tier. So it will allow 10 requests per minute. It will once you click on request access, it won't give you client ID secret directly because this application should be approved by the admin. See, request has been received and is pending. Earlier in gold tier it is showing it is approved and client ID secret it is visible here, right? So now it is pending. So now let's go to our email with which we have created this particular user. Let me check. See, new application pending approval has been came. For demo hello world and platinum tier. Okay. To review this request and approve the application, please visit this page. So this has been done in the background by your admin. Now see, this is the page it got opened, and in the contracts you can see this platinum client. Now your admin will approve or reject. So in my case, I am the admin because I have created this account with my Gmail account. In your real-time projects, your ops team or your ops team or your TL or someone who has this admin access, they need to approve. Then only it will show you the client ID and secret. So now I am approving it. Okay. Now you can, if you can expand this, it will show you client ID, but client secret it won't be visible. It will send you a new email. Okay, once you approve it, you will get no email. There you can find, see, application registration approved. So now here you can, in this link only, you can find the client ID and client secret. Now, I mean, in this case, we are the admin, so we approved it. But in real-time projects, this client ID secret won't be visible for us as a developers directly. You need to request your ops team to provide this client ID and client secret for this particular tier. See, now this is the client ID. I'm copying it here. And the client secret, sorry, the client secret, once you click on show, it will show you, and you can copy it. In real time, your ops team will provide this. But in my case, maybe I got the same details, same client ID, client secret. So let me click send. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. See, maybe we missed one request, it got 10. So now later onwards it will send you this, throw you this error. Quota has been exceeded because we have applied platinum tier for this particular client. It will allow 10 requests only, and from 11th request onwards it will reject within the same minute. So if you wait for 1 minute and then if you can test, then it will give you that. Okay, and in my application section of Exchange, you will find all the client applications which we have created, and you can see the client ID secret. You can copy the client ID secret from here. But this access will not be provided for all the developers in the real time. Okay, so I hope you understand how to apply this rate limiting policy without SLA and with SLA. So yeah, please stay tuned. And in next videos, we will be discussing about a couple of more policies for this particular topic. So yeah, thank you. Thanks for watching. And I forgot to say, if you want to know about the details about this entire course, we have actually planned the advanced course, MuleSoft level 2 course in our channel. So if you want to know more details about this course content and fee details and all, please call us in our, to our number which we have displayed in thumbnail, or you can find it in our channel also. So just call us or email us, so we'll share the details so that you can enjoy the entire course. And we have planned this advanced course with lot many topics, so which will be very useful for you in your real-time projects. Okay, thank you so much. Hello all, welcome to KLART Technologies. So as part of our advanced course, and in the topic which we are discussing is non-functional requirement, and as part of that we are discussing about applying multiple policies, different categories of policies to secure your API and to manage your API. Right, so as part of that we have seen a couple of policies till previous video. So in this video we will be discussing about IP whitelisting and IP blocklisting. So in some situations, what will happen in real-time requirements to avoid some kind of attacks, or to make sure your API is more secure. I mean, only, authorized users only, or authorized web applications only using your applications or consuming your applications. You can apply this kind of policy also to blocklist some IP addresses or to whitelist some IP addresses. Okay, both are actually opposite to one another. So if you want to allow only specific IP addresses to access your application, you can whitelist them. Okay, or if you don't want to allow a set of IP addresses to access your application, you can blacklist them. Even in your mobile also you can block your numbers, right? Some of the spam numbers or fraud numbers, we are going to block that. So we will not get calls or messages from that particular number again later once you block that number, right? So in the similar way, we have to anyways the calls are coming from any of the system, so each and every system will have unique IP addresses. So by using those IP addresses, we can block the calls or we can allow the calls. Either one policy you can apply at a time. Okay, so let's see how this behaves and how we can apply them. Okay, so as part of security, you have IP allow list and IP block list. Earlier the name was IP whitelist in the previous versions, and in the previous versions IP block list is nothing but IP blacklist it is showing. Okay, BLACK, but now these names are changed and the old ones are deprecated. So IP allow list means if you want to allow any specific IP addresses, then you can use this policy. In that case, remaining all IP addresses are getting blocked. Okay, that is what the main. Like if you allow only one address, it means remaining IP addresses will not access your application. So automatically other applications will be other IP addresses will be blocked. So if you want to block some particular IP addresses, then remaining all the IP addresses will able to access your application. So those will allow. So these two are in reverse to one another, you need to understand. So that is why we cannot, we no need to apply all these two policies together to an API. So if any API, if they want to do some kind of IP addresses kind of activity, either to allow or either to block, you need to use any one of the policy. It won't allow you to apply two policies together. So let's see IP allow list. So let's click next. So by using IP allow list, you can specify number of IP addresses or any range of IP addresses that you will allow, and those IP addresses will invoke your application. Remaining IP addresses will not access your application. Okay. So to do that, we have to send something from headers or from body, but usually we will send it from the headers section only in general. So this is some example. You can maybe change this, but I can use the same one, X forwarded for. This is the header. So whenever you send this X forwarded for header while testing your application or while invoking this application, in our case it is from Postman we are calling it, right? So Postman is our client. But in real-time projects, any web application or any other API which is consuming your this REST API, they need to send this X forwarded for in the headers. You can mention what are the IP addresses you need to allow. So IP address numbers you can IP addresses you can mention here. 198.1.2.3. So if I add this now, I need to send only this IP addresses for the X forward for header, then only it will allow the access, otherwise it won't. Okay, so or else if you want to allow multiple IP addresses, you can specify them by using comma. You can differentiate them 1.2.4 and so on, or else you can mention by using a range also. This range is nothing but CIDR block, which we have already discussed in detail in our previous video. If you want to know what is IP address and how it will define, what is the use of IP address, how we can define this range, how we are going to calculate CIDR block, everything I have explained in detail. So I will give that URL also, that YouTube link URL also in the description or comment. So you can just go through that. There I have explained everything in detail. You will get complete knowledge of IP addresses and CIDR block and security and this range and everything. Okay, so don't miss that video. So like this, so coming back to this, you can specify these kind of IP addresses like this. So if you want to specify by using comma addresses, or you can mention like One by one you can add it like this. If you are unable to add, you can add one or several IP addresses, define a range by using like this also. Okay, you can do anything. So now once you click on apply, 198.123.198.124, you need to send this via this header. Then only it will allow once this policy is getting applied. Okay, so I'm applying this. So let's wait that message here to apply that. Meanwhile, I'll just make ready with this postman. So I'll disable remaining one. I'll just enable this header. And in this header, I need to send 198.1.2.3 and to 1.2.4. Only these two IP addresses it will allow, right? So we will test in all the scenarios once the policy is applied. It is not yet applied. Let's wait for 1 minute. We will see the message like that IP whitelisting policy is applied, something like this, which we have seen earlier. Then we can test it. So instead of waiting like 1 or 2 minutes unknowingly, you can just wait here in this page, so that you will get confirmation like if the policy is applied or unapplied. Yeah, see, it is showing like applied policy IP allow list. This policy is applied now. You can test it. Okay, so maybe without this, let's test. See, the IP address is invalid and it took the IP address from my global IP address. Okay, now let me just enable this. See, now I got the response. Now you will get the response how many times you want, because we didn't apply rate limiting here. So let me change the IP address 120, which I have not added in my policy. So you should not allow this. See, it is showing IP address is invalid because we have mentioned only 198.1.2.3 and 198.1.2.4. Only these two IP addresses it should allow. See, now it is allowing. And if I change something, it won't allow. Right? So like this you can apply IP whitelisting policy, or IP allow list policy. So these IP addresses are you are going to allow. You can specify the range, or you can just add as many as IP addresses you want to allow. And if you didn't mention anything here, it is expecting this header. If you didn't mention anything here, it will take my global IP address and it will show the error also. Forbidden. So what is this global IP address, local IP address also? I have explained everything in the video which I have mentioned. Please go through that video, you will get complete information. Right, so this is how you can implement IP allow list policy. Next we will see IP block list. Right, so now let's see how to apply IP block list. It is also same way, but the testing will be little reversed. Okay, now it is IP allow list. Now I will try to add IP block list. You will see the difference. Okay, so in security, see, this is disabled. There is another policy applied with the same provided characteristics like that. So if IP allow list is applied, you will not be able to apply IP block list. Or if IP block list is applied, you will not able to apply the IP allow list. That is what I have informed. So let's remove the IP allow list, then we will apply the block list. Remove policy. Now I'll add the policy. See, now these both are enabled. Now you can add this block list. This is also similar way for the same header. Okay, you need to mention which are IP addresses you want to block, just like you are blocking the numbers in your mobile. Okay, so here now I'll say 178.20, sorry, 23.4.5. This IP address I am blocking now. Okay, right. 173, 178, 23, 45. And header everything will be same now. So I'll just apply this. If you send IP address with that particular IP which we have mentioned, it will block that, it won't allow. Remaining all requests it will allow. That's it. That's the difference. And see, this IP allow list is unapplied because we removed it. So it shows that information also. So once it shows that information, like if IP block list policy is applied, then we will be able to test this. Okay, and what is this IP address or these four parts? How the numbers are defined? What are the different numbers to frame this IP address? Different kind of IP address, IP4 and IP6 and all. Everything I have mentioned in different video series. If I missed that to give you in the description also, you can go to our channel KLART Technologies. There you will find a playlist called AWS course. In that AWS playlist, you will find this information, all these videos in detail. Right, so applied policy IP block list. So this is applied now. Let's test this. So here now I will first send with the same IP address. So now it is allowing, but now I blocked one IP address now. So let's see that. See, now it is showing IP address is invalid, 403 forbidden, because for this IP address we blocked it. It won't able to access our API if you send this. If you change this IP address now, it will access. So just like the reverse way which we have tested. Right, so this is a simple one. So once you understand one policy, other policy will be self-explanatory, right? So it won't take much time. Right, so this is how you can apply IP whitelist and IP blocklist policies to your API in order to control the traffic or unauthorized access of your API. Right, in our next video, we will see another policies. Thank you. And don't forget to subscribe our channel, like our channel, and share these videos to your friends. If you have any doubts, comment in the, ask those questions in the comment section. Okay, thank you. Hello all, welcome to KLART Technologies, and as part of our advanced course we are discussing about non-functional requirements and specifically API policies, how we can apply different kind of non-functional requirements to your API by using pre-built policies. So as part of that, actually initially I removed something, now don't worry, that is the previous video which I have recorded. I have removed all the existing policies so that we will discuss each and every policy in a detailed way. Right, so for this API, currently I don't have any policy. Now in this video we will be discussing about HTTP basic authentication policy, and we will understand the difference between HTTP basic auth and that LDAP one. Okay, so this is the basic authentication and this is the LDAP. So what is the use of these two means, if you want to allow your someone to access your API, with a specific set of username and password. Just like to log in into your Gmail account or any other account, you need username and password, right? So if you have that particular username and password, that authentication, if that authentication is valid, then you will allow that particular request to go to your API and it will send response back to that particular client. Otherwise, it will simply reject that. Okay, to do that we have two different kind of things, like basic authentication simple. It means same username and password will be for all the users. Like for example, the username and password will not change. Once we configure, if someone want to access your API, you need to pass those same username and password in the headers. I'll show you how to do that, and then only they will access your API. But LDAP means it is a specified LDAP server. We have different LDAP users are there configured in LDAP server. So you can manage different users, LDAP users. So user specific, you can say. LDAP is more secured compared to basic authentication. But in LDAP we cannot demonstrate now. But I'll show you how to apply that. Let's first discuss about basic authentication. Okay, so we are going to apply this basic authentication. See here, username and password. you can mention username and password here. Only with this specific username and password, anyone can use this, access this application. Otherwise, if you different username, different password is sending, or if you miss it to pass the username and password, it won't allow to access that application. That, I mean, but in this API, it won't send you the success response. Okay. Now let me just add username. I have given some password, which is nothing but test@123. Okay, you can show and hide it. This is the training one. I'll just show it. Okay, so now I'm applying this. Okay, so this is for all resources, and let's wait this runtime manager to get this applied message. And if you can say I have removed this block list one, it is showing unapplied. Let's wait. I'll show you how to pause this in the meanwhile. Okay, you will just uncheck all the headers, and to pause this username and password, you need to go to authentication, and here authentication type you can select basic authentication, and here the username password you need to send to enable to in order to access your API, or in order to send request to this particular API. Okay, so let me go back here. Pause is still not applied. Let's wait. This is some random one, you can ignore this. See now, applied policy HTTP basic authentication Mule. This is applied now. Okay. Now let's trigger this without sending any values. See, it shows unauthorized. Okay, 401 unauthorized error you will get because authentication attempt failed, because we have applied authentication policy basic authentication, but we have not provided the values. Let's say if we had provided any random values. See, again it is showing 401 unauthorized authentication attempt failed. So you need to pass the valid username and password which we have configured over there. Now you will get the success response. Okay, so even though if the URL is there, no one can access this API until unless they pass this username and password in the authentication headers. Okay, so this is the simple one which you can understand in easy way. So it is just a kind of username and password. You need to configure this API policy, and you need to give the proper valid username and password. So in this way, if someone knows this username and password and this URL, so even you can access this API, right? So this is not that much secured one, to be frank. Okay, but to authenticate at least few control at least some of the unauthorized accesses, you can apply this basic authentication. But internally, like from process API to experience API or system API internal calls, maybe you can use this, but it is not that much effective. Okay, but like in the same way, HTTP this one LDAP authentication is also there, right? In that, for that actually you will configure the LDAP server. You can authenticate with that. That we cannot demonstrate it practically, but I'll show you the difference. See here, LDAP server URL, you will get it from your team or your ops team or someone. Basically, this policy, if you want to apply, you as a developer, you are not going to apply it directly because you don't need to mention all these details. Now, usually, most of the policies will be applied by the ops team for the higher environments, but for the lower environments, you need to first take care of it. Okay. See, you need to mention these details: LDAP server URL, LDAP user DN. If you are already familiar with the LDAP server, you will get to know these details. And password, search base. This is the specific to LDAP. How you can search it, something search filter, like this. All these details you need to mention and apply. So based on that, based on this user DN and user password, it will allow the access to this particular API. This is more secure compared to basic authentication, because we are not going to mention that user password for user group, user uh, name of the user or user group with access to the LDAP. So like the set of configurations you can do from LDAP side, then you can use those DN and details here. So it is not, I mean, it is little more secured compared to basic authentication, but we cannot demonstrate it here by using this trial account. We don't have the LDAP setup and all, right? So yeah, I hope you understand the difference between basic authentication and LDAP basic authentication. So yeah, that's it for this video. And thank you. Thanks for watching. In our next video, we'll be discussing about more policies. Hello all. So in this video, we'll be discussing about other policies which we have not seen yet. So far we have discussed about a lot of policies as part of non-functional requirements topic of our advanced course. Now we will see couple of other policies. Okay. So to demonstrate couple of policies, I have changed this code little bit. So I have added, one second, I have added a couple of two more endpoints, which is for two post endpoints I have added in YAML, which you have not seen in the initially. So I have added two. One is for JSON, one is for XML. Those are very simple one. And to demonstrate this header specific policies, we have two policies, transformation policies are the header injection and header removal. So to demonstrate that what are the headers are there by default, we have to check, right? So in the code, in the response, I have added this headers attributes dot headers. So whenever we hit this hello all endpoint, it will show you the response like this, one text message and all the headers available. Okay. So let's see that without any policy, let's hit that first. Okay, so this is the hello all, and there are no headers we are passing now because we have removed all the other policies as well. So now let me just click this. See, this is a static response which I have added in the data view, but you need to concentrate on here. These are all the headers. By default, it will come in the incoming HTTP request. So we changed this code to provide all the attributes dot headers, right? So it is providing these headers. So default headers are these things. These are called in headers. Okay, host and xreal IP, accept encoding. These are all the headers we will be getting by default. And these are all the in headers, and after the message we will see a couple of headers like this here. These are called out headers. Okay, now we will apply a couple of policies related to these headers to add headers or to remove headers. If there is any requirement to add any custom headers, how we can achieve it by using these policies, that we will discuss now. Okay, so to do that, and ignore for these other policies, I have disabled it. To demonstrate it very quickly, I have added and disabled it. I'll show you them one by one in upcoming videos, no problem. So for now, let's click on this add policy, and we have two policies which is under transformation section, header injection and header removal. So header injection means, see, it allows header injection during message processing. You can add any header, custom header if you want. Header removal means allows header removal during message processing. So these are all two opposite to one another. If you want to add any new header, you can go with this. If you want to remove any header while message processing, you can go with this. We will see both together. So I want to first show you how to add custom headers. So I have selected header injection and click next. Here you can give inbound header and outbound header. As I have shown you, if you want to add any inbound header inside the message while to initiate that flow, that header will be added here. And if it is after the response, default headers will be generated, which are called out headers. So if you want any header like this, you need to use the out header. Okay, so I will be adding one header for each to show you the difference. So in inbound header map, I am giving a header like Lakshmi in header, just for example. But in your real time, it will be other thing as per the requirement you need to follow. Okay, yeah, no need. So under outbound header map also, I am going to add one header, which is nothing but Lakshmi out header. All three I have given. So let's see how it works. So one out header, one in header I have added. I am just applying this policy. And yeah, this application is just started, so we will wait this policy to be applied in the logs. Okay. Mm, yeah. So there is no request body, there is no response body, because this is the get method. We will be getting response like this. There is no request body. But now we need to focus on these headers once the policy is getting applied. Policy is not yet applied. Let's wait for 1 or 2 minutes. Yeah, now see, this is applied. Applied policy header injection Mule. Now we can test this application. Let me go back to Postman. So now see, there is no header like Lakshmi, which I have added customly, right? So I'm just triggering now. See, Lakshmi in header is getting added here. This is the in header which we have added here. And in headers also earlier the count is 5 if you remember. Now it is 6. And if you can open it, see Lakshmi out header with the value which I have provided. So this is how you can add any in headers or out headers while message processing by using this header injection policy. Okay, so let's see header removal policy as well. So now we have added this now. Instead of removing the header which I have added, I will remove this header. Okay, this is a default headers, right? You can even remove default in headers, but out headers you cannot remove. Okay, so let me just try to remove this by using header removal policy. Let me go back to API manager, and in the add policy you can go to transformation and header removal. Okay, inbound header map, you can provide the header which you want to remove. In my case, HREL IP, the default header which is generated by default, I want to remove that from the in headers. But from the out headers, I think we cannot remove the default headers, but we can let's try with our custom header. Okay, Lakshmi out header. Let me just click it here. It is blank getting. Okay, Lakshmi out header, right? Let me just try to remove the custom header. Just names you need to provide, that's it. Then you don't need to provide any values. So now I have added header removal policy as well. Let's wait this to be applied here. Now this header need to be removed, and as we have that okay, we have a contradictory statement here. We are adding it by using header injection, we are removing it by using header removal because we haven't removed the old policy. So let me remove this header injection policy. See, now removal policy is applied. We have already removed that injection policy also, right? Let's wait, that policy also need to be disabled here, or else it may throw error like because we have a contradictory statement for this particular header. Let's test at least. Okay, see, now I have tested it now, that XREL IP header which is the default header which is got removed because I have added that header removal policy, and in the headers still that custom header is there. Okay, so we cannot remove any custom headers or any other out headers by using this header removal policy. That you need to remember. Okay, and yeah, see, now it is not there because now that policy is applied, right? That header injection policy is unapplied. So now there will be no custom headers. So that is why it is not showing here any custom headers, and even here it is the Lakshmi in header is also not visible here. And the default header which we have mentioned XREL IP got removed because we have applied HTTP header removal policy. right? So this is how you can use header removal and header injection policies from the transformation section. I hope you got some idea about how to use this. So in next video we will be discussing about other policies. Hello all, welcome to KLART Technologies, and as part of our MuleSoft advanced course we have seen couple of policies in order to apply this non-functional requirements topic. We have seen couple of policies how we can apply and what is the use of those policies till previous video. So in this video we will be discussing about more policies. So I hope you are learning something out of our course. Okay, so I'm just removing this header removal that won't affect our current policy, but just for safe side, just to avoid some confusion, I'm just removing this. This we have applied in our previous video. Okay, so now in this particular video we will be discussing both JSON threat protection and XML threat protection in security section of policies. Okay, so what is this? These two policies means it will what is the use of these policies means it will avoid unnecessary HTTP requests. Okay, if you have a JSON resource, it will avoid unnecessary JSON HTTP request. It will handle here itself in the at the policy level itself. It will handle, and it is just to avoid unnecessary request, and it will help us in order to no one can hack our API also. Okay, because we will be defining some structure here as part of JSON threat protection and XML threat protection. So if you are using JSON REST API, I mean your API or your resource is expecting JSON as an input, you can apply JSON threat protection. Or if your resource is expecting XML as an input, you can apply XML threat protection. We will be defining couple of structure here. Based on that structure, it will validate the incoming request. If some hackers doesn't follow this structure, they cannot able to access our API. That's it. It's very simple. Okay, so I have actually added some values to demonstrate you, but I'll show you how to add it from scratch. Okay, just you can just go to your add policy, and under security you can select this JSON threat protection. Now as I have already applied, it is showing applied. For you, in your case, for the first time it is not showing this applied. You can just select that. Okay, here radio button is also disabled for me because it is already applied in my case. So you can select that radio button and click next. It will open up you a window. Okay, so I'll show you now what are the values we need to provide. So let me go to JSON threat protection. You can just edit the configuration. So like this, it will be giving you the structure. So maximum container depth, maximum allowed nested depth, how many JSON nested containers or objects you want to allow from your input request, and maximum string value length. What is the length of each and every field value? This is the value length. And how many objects? First one, how many objects you want to allow? I want to allow only 4 objects. Like this. Okay, so this is a sample request. I'll show you by executing this with the different values to understand to make you understand these things. And then maximum object entry name length, it should be 9. Entry name length means this main tag. This main tag should have only 9 is the length it should have. So like this, we will add some validations here. If the incoming request will follow all these validations, then it will give you the success response, and it will allow you to enter into the API and get the information. Otherwise, it will reject the request here itself. It won't access our API. And maximum object entry count. Entry count means this values, key value pairs are there na? So these values, it will be 2 only. So like that you can control. And maximum array element count, it should be 3, like this. So you can configure this policy as you want. Okay, so let me apply this policy and I'll show you by demonstrating with that example. Then it will be easy for you to understand more. Okay, so JSON threat protection, I have disabled it earlier, so now I am enabling it. Okay, even you can enable disable like this. You can add all the policies and you can enable one by one and you can test it for your practice. Okay, so now earlier we have removed that header removal. It is showing that header removal is unapplied. Now we have enabled our JSON threat protection. It will show you once the policy is applied, it will show you that policy is applied. Then we can able to test our API. So that is what I have said, like for this XML thread protection and for this JSON thread protection, to demonstrate these two, what I have done, I have added two resources in a RAML, two post methods, two post resources. One is employee test and another one is employee test XML. This is for XML test. And the only change is media type, it is accepting application JSON and it is accepting application XML. In RAML itself, I have added that. Okay, if you want, I can show you that RAML also. It is a very simple one only. And if you can see in the meanwhile in the runtime manager, the policy is applied this policy. Okay, let me show you the RAML quickly and I'll just get back to the Postman and do a couple of tests to make you understand. Yeah, see, I have added this employee test. This is for JSON and body, in the input body it is accepting application JSON only and response also JSON, and it is a post method. Just like that, XML also I have added employee test XML resource I have added, and it is a post method and it is allowing request body also XML, response body also XML. Okay, and I have added couple of examples like this. So response, if it is successful for JSON thread protection, in case of successful, I will get this message as a response. Okay, in case of XML is successful, I will get this policy applied successfully. This is the response. These examples I have given here. Okay, right. So let me just open this policy and let's test it with the different values and let's compare the errors together. So, okay. So this is a valid request. Maybe I'll just click send. See, in the successful case, like if it follow the same structure which I have defined in my JSON thread protection policy, it will give you successful response, 201 created, and it will give you the response. But this response I have added manually, but just ignore the response here for in the success case. But in error scenarios, just observe what is the message you are getting here as a response. So here it is a successful method. Now let me do something here. Okay, see, field name maximum length has been exceeded. Maximum allowed is 9. Where we have defined this? Here we have defined 9 here. Maximum object entry name length. So this is what I have told you. So if this entry length itself is long, which is not satisfied with this condition, if it is not 9, then it will reject the request here itself. It will show you bad request. It will throw you the error like this. Unless you correct it, it won't allow you to access your API. Okay, this is how different in different places of JSON structure we will do couple of tests. Okay, so here the name value is 1, right? So let me add another field also. Let me try to test this. See, object entry count has been exceeded now. Maximum allowed is 2. I have defined object entry, like inside the object I have defined this key value pair should be 2 only, but now I have provided 3, so it thrown bad request. Where we have defined this 2, I have given different values to make you understand. Okay, so 2 is here, so maximum object entry count is 2. So inside the JSON object, entries also should be 2. So we can control here inside the JSON data also. Now let me add some random value here. See, string value length has been exceeded now. This is also not a valid JSON. Maximum allowed is 23. Here it exceeded maximum 23. Where we have defined this 23 is here. Maximum string value length. String value length means for that particular key value page, the value should be 23 character length only. You should not exceed this. So here I have provided more than 23. So at object level, at value level, everywhere we are controlling our input request. So they cannot malfunction this. They cannot add any extra value. They cannot add any. They cannot exceed the length. Okay. So like this, I mean the hackers in they means here. If some case, if in case anyone should hack our, if someone want to hack our API, they should definitely follow this structure. Until unless they are not aware of it, they are not allowing to access our API. Okay, and here in the value, I'll just give some multiple values. And here also I will give some key value page. Now it is applied successfully because inside this I have given 2 as the length. So it is applied successfully. If I can add one more thing here inside this particular values, just give me 1 minute. See, now it is throwing error. Object entry count is 2 only. So you cannot give multiple entries like this, just like we have seen earlier. Okay. Okay, now let me remove this. Okay, now let me add one more object. See, array element count has been exceeded. Maximum allowed is 3. Array element count we have defined here is 3. Maximum array element. So it will not accept if you send 4 objects also, it will not accept. Okay. So like this we have lot of things. Okay. So we can define this structure in different areas of input request. We can have this structure validations here itself. So it will reject the request here itself. So we can at least protect our API with I mean to avoid some malfunctioning JSON requests. Okay, so this is about JSON threat protection. In the similar way, we have XML threat protection policy as well. That is also we can see now. Okay, so this is the sample I have created. So for the XML threat protection also, now I'll just show you the configuration. It is also similar configuration, but it at tag level, attributes level, values level. Let me first apply this policy, enable this policy. So it will apply in the background. See, even you can see those errors which we have tested for JSON threat protection. Those errors also it will be visible here in logs also, you can check. Okay. Right, so I have applied XML threat protection also. Let me just open this configuration. And here also it will show you maximum node depth. Earlier in JSON it is an object and array of objects like that, right? So but in XML the structure is at nodes and tags, right? So as per that it will be providing these values. So maximum node depth is 3, maximum attribute count, how many attributes we are going to provide for each tag. So here this is the attribute salary. So I have provided only one attribute. I mean, I have configured it, we should allow only one attribute. If I provide multiple attributes, it will throw error. And maximum child count, maximum text length, okay, attribute length, maximum comment length also even we can control. Comment means like inside this or XML or inside or in between this XML, we can provide some couple of comments, right? So this comment length also you can control by using XML threat protection policy. Okay, let's test this and you can understand. Let me see if this is applied. Yeah, see in the runtime manager you can see if this policy is applied or not. So it is showing applied policy XML threat protection. Now we can able to test this policy. So without any errors, I'm testing this policy now with the valid JSON response. With the valid XML input. It is successful. 201 created. Now let me add salary some value. See, attribute value length has been exceeded. It is 5. We have defined attribute value length. Attributes also we can define how many attributes you can send. That is here attribute length. Okay, here we have provided 5. So maximum attribute length in the value. It's not attribute, it's a value. Value length it should allow only 5. Okay, attribute count. Attributes itself it is only 1, but I have given only 1, but this value also we are controlling here. It should allow only 5. Now let me give the valid value with 5 digits. Now I will be adding another attribute. I'm adding another attribute here. Okay, let's see if even length is 5 also. Okay, see parse error. Sorry, this is another error. Sorry, we should not provide comma in XML. Yeah, see, this is the valid error. I mean, as per the XML threat protection. See, attribute count has been exceeded. Maximum allowed is 1. So I have given 2 attributes here, but I have defined in my structure and in my policy, it should allow only 1 attribute. Okay, here, maximum attribute count. Okay, so 2 places we have added some validation here. Just like that, if you can give okay, we are not going to control the main root tag length here, so it is applied successfully. Let me just test this. This tag level we are not controlling, I think, but child count, maximum text, this we can control. Okay, let me remove this. Let's say, for example, I have added one more tag. Child count has been exceeded. Maximum allowed is 2. That we have defined here. Child count 2. So it should allow only 2. Attribute count we have seen, child and text anyways it's similar to JSON. And attribute length also we have seen. Comment length we will see. These 5 options only there for XML protection. Okay, so now I will just remove this. And see comment also you can check. See, comment length has been exceeded. Maximum allowed is 10. Only you should give in 10 letters. So you can define whatever you want based on your requirement, but whatever the values which we have defined here, that will be validated here. That is the main point you need to focus. Okay, and the other one is maximum text length. If you can allow, if you can exceed this text inside this tag, it will throw an error. See, text length has been exceeded. Maximum allowed is 23, which we have defined here. Okay, so yeah, this is how you can use this. You can apply this XML threat protection for your APIs in order to avoid some unnecessary calls to your API. It will protect your API in terms of any attacks, like in terms of any DDoS attack, which we have discussed earlier. So to avoid those things, we have these many different policies under this security section. These two also for security section, right? So we have seen these things, and in the security section we have seen couple of other policies also in previous videos. So and OAuth 2.0 security policy, we have created a separate video on that in our channel. It is publicly available, so you can just check those policy. I have explained in depth, in detail from scratch, so you can go through those videos. And we have seen XML threat protection, JSON protection, allow list, block list, basic authentication, LDAP we have seen, and JWT validation only left here. And detokenization, tokenization we cannot test it or use it in trial account, or even in licensed account also, it will not be available by default. You need to have a special request, special permission for this. So yeah, we cannot discuss these two in our, and JWT we will see later. So in the security section, we have covered all the policies. In the transformation section, we have seen this. In troubleshooting, message logging, we'll be discussing later. And we will be we already covered these two policies. And quality of service also, we have seen rate limiting SLA, and we need to see these two now. Okay. So right, in our next video, we will be discussing about spike control and HTTP caching, as well as message logging. These three we will be checking. In the next video, we will discuss about it. Okay. I hope you got a clear idea about XML threat protection and JSON threat protection. So if you like this video, please like and share it with your friends. And if you have any doubts, please comment out in the comment section below. Okay. Hello all. As part of our advanced course, we are discussing about multiple policies. So in this video, let's see spike control policy. Okay. So spike control policy also little bit similar to rate limiting policy. So it will allow only number of requests in specific time, number of minutes or milliseconds or seconds which we have defined. So here the time period it will show you always in milliseconds and delay in milliseconds. So what is the difference between the rate limiting policy and the spike control policy means? If you remember, we have seen in rate limiting policy, if it exceed those number of requests which we have defined, for example, in 1 minute it should allow only 3 number of requests if we defined. If we send fourth request, it will reject that request and it will send you the error like 429 too many requests. But in spike control policy, it will not reject the requests. Okay, it will never reject the request. It will make the other request in the queue. It will queue the other requests. Okay, so here in the queuing limit, you can mention how many requests it will queue. So it won't reject the request, but it will not process the request. Okay, so here number of requests we have defined 2 requests, and time period is always it is showing in milliseconds. So I have given just 4500 milliseconds because it will allow only 5000 till. And delay in milliseconds, 10,000 milliseconds, it will delay for another next set of requests. And delay attempts, it will be taking 1, and queuing limit is 5. And whenever you check this expose headers, it will show you some other information in the headers, outbound headers. Here it will show you how many requests are pending, like that information. Okay. Right. So I'm saving this and I have disabled it earlier. Right. So I'm just enable this spike control policy. This is applicable for all the resources, so you can test any resource. And I have removed other policies which we have discussed. Now this only this is the policy applied in our API. Let's wait this policy to be applied. Then I'll show you how to test this so that you will get complete understand. Right, so now the policy is applied. Spike control, let's test this policy. Okay, to test this, actually we need to concentrate on headers, outbound headers. So I'm just opening this tab before we test, and I'm testing this hello all only. So once you click send, see it will add you these headers, extra headers. This is what I want to show you. So rate limit is 2 and rate limit remaining is 1. Rate limit reset is 0. Okay, rate limit is 2 means which we have defined 2 requests only it will allow. And rate limit remaining is 1 means we have already tested one time. So if you test second time, then from next onwards it will queue the request. Okay, see now I am, yeah, again it will show you because we have mentioned milliseconds. So I have now sent 2 times in that 4500 milliseconds. Now the remaining is 0 and rate limit reset is, this is the seconds which you have, it has updated. Okay, so even though now you can observe this response 200 okay only. Even though if you hit multiple times, it will not reject your request, it will just queue the request in the background. Okay, it will just see this seconds, it will see it is getting some delay. If you click on third time, it is showing some delay and then it will respond back. So this delay also we have mentioned like 10,000 milliseconds, the delay which we have mentioned in our policy. If you remember, I'll show you again. So this is a 10,000 milliseconds. And the next 5 requests, next concurrent 5 requests, it will get queued inside. Okay, that we cannot, it is not visible here. 1 2 3 4 5 6. See, it is showing some delay because we have mentioned after 5 requests it is getting delayed for 1000 milliseconds. Okay, now it will, and if you can observe this here, it is 200 okay only for every time. It is sending you successful response only. Okay, it is not rejecting if the limit is exceeded, but it will just wait for some time, it will just queue the request. So this is just a basic difference between this rate limiting and spike control policy. Okay, I hope you got this policy now. And yeah, let's discuss about another policy. Right now, let's see another policy. Which is troubleshooting and message logging policy. So what is the use of message logging policy means, if you want to add some log messages before and after the call of API, just to track, just for debugging purposes. So you can use this message logging policy. Inside the flow, we will have a couple of loggers, that is different. But before that, instead of having the loggers inside the flow, if you want to log some message before you are sending the request or after you are getting the response, then you can go with message logging policy. It will give you some custom logs, it will add before the calling API and after calling the API. So you need to select a message logging policy. Okay, and whatever the message you want to log, you can mention here. Yeah, payload or whatever the message if you want. Okay, now I'll just log my what I can do is headers, maybe I can log, or maybe let's give some custom expression, some custom string. Let's see how it will behave. And this condition is optional, you can give any condition by using this, like for only this particular get request, only for this request path, if you want to log this message, you can just add that as well. And this category also optional, you can give like any category. maybe we can give some query parameter here. We are not using any query parameter in our API, but let's try this. Attributes dot query params. So if I send this query parameter name as Lakshmi, then it should log this message. Before calling API or after calling API, you can check anything. I'm just checking both, or you can just test with anyone. Okay, now this policy is applied here, but to the API it is not applied yet. Let's wait for 1 or 2 minutes. Meanwhile, I'll just make sure I'm adding some query parameter, which is name and Lakshmi. So for this path only, it will give you some log message. Okay, now the message logging policy is applied. Now these logs you can see here only in the Cloud Hub logs. Okay, now I'm sending request. See, the log message is here visible. Logging message from policy. So after logging or before calling this API, it will show you those. It is logging this message. We don't have any loggers now. It is logging the message. Okay, so like this, if you want to print the payload, or if you want to see, I didn't hit anything, right? So after calling the policy also, it is displaying this message for me. So if you want to track any payload or any headers or any other information, you can just log here like this. Okay, I hope you're getting this policy. I mean, you learned something how to apply this message logging policy and spike control policy. Now let's see HTTP caching policy also. So to demonstrate that caching policy, what I have done, I have added couple of loggers here. One before this response. Okay, I have added start logger and end logger for this hello all resource only. This changes I have done, but it is not yet deployed. That is why you are not, I mean, those start logger and stop logger messages are not visible here for you for now, because I have did the changes, I didn't deploy it yet. So let me deploy this application with these changes, start logger and stop logger, sorry, end logger. Okay, then we will apply that HTTP caching policy. Then it will be easy for you to understand and to see the difference. Okay, so I'll pause the video here. Once I deploy this application with these changes, I'll resume the video. So it is deployed. Now let's see how we can implement the HTTP cache policy. So to do that, add policy and go to quality of service and HTTP caching. Okay. So by default, it will come up with attributes request path. What is the caching key? So you can leave it as it is, or you can change it if you want. If you want to capture only for further, the query parameter request only. If you want to catch, you can check those things. Okay. So persistent cache, you can select and see attributes method get header, and these are all the default values for all these statuses. It will cache. Okay, so you can just leave it as it is, or else you can do one thing. You can just do like the query parameter which we have added in for earlier flow, right? Earlier policy. So that also you can check. So let me just leave it as it is first, then maybe we will see if needed. So I'm I'm applying this policy. Let's wait this policy to be applied. So this time for this hello all resource, I have added two loggers here as I have shown you earlier. So let's wait. Yeah, now the policy is applied. So let's test this. You won't see any difference right now. It is taking this much time. Yeah. So it took 7.34 seconds. Let me go to the logs. So here it should display those log messages. See, start logger, end logger. Okay, this is the first time. So whenever you hit the second time, this request will be cached. Okay, so you will never see this log messages. You should not see these log messages because it is not hitting directly. It is not going to hit the endpoint. Okay, so the path itself is same, which we have configured. But this time we will configure with the query parameter. So now it is triggering every time. Okay, so let's wait. Let's go to this policy and let's 1 second. Let me just disable other policies as well to avoid some confusion. Okay, so now for this HTTP caching policy, I am modifying it with to take this HTTP query params dot name equal to Lakshmi. Only for this I want to what is this cache? Okay, and maximum cache entries 10,000 entries, and entry to time to live TTL is 600 seconds. 600 seconds it will stay in this cache. Okay, so invalidation header, what it is showing. Yeah, you can leave the other values as it is. So, but query params attributes that query params name is Lakshmi. So, for this particular request, it will catch the response. It will not hit the endpoint again and again. Let's wait this policy to be modified. As of now, it is showing spike control is unapplied because we removed the previous policy. Yeah, now it is applied. So let's test now. I trigger the endpoint and it hit the particular resource. It got invoked, and it will show you the logger messages which we have there in our implementation, start log and end log for the first time. Okay, and from second time onwards, it should not print these loggers. It means like it is not going to invoke uh, the code itself. It should send the response from catch scope itself. So that is what I'm trying to explain here. So let me just hit for the second time, third time, fourth time. Let's wait a couple of minutes. See, log messages are not coming now because it is sending a response from the cache within that time limit, the 1000 milliseconds or something we have mentioned, right? So like the 10,000 cache entries if you didn't change this query. Okay. Uh, yeah. Okay, and I did one small mistake here while applying this policy. You should not mention the value for the query parameter. You should just mention the query parameter name. That's it. That will be enough. And see, time to live is 600 seconds only. So 600. Yeah, so this is how you can apply any policy for APIs. So we have covered almost all policies apart from this JWT token policy. I'll try to create a separate video for JWT because that is a different concept. So we have already created both policy related videos in our channel. If you want, you can just go and watch it. So we have covered almost all policies. We will be creating JWT policy video separately. So this is how you can implement non-functional requirements by using API policies. And we will be creating a custom policy video also later on. So please keep watching. Please do subscribe to our channel and like our videos. If you have any doubts, you can ask in our comment section. We are very happy to help you. Thank you.